Archimex login confirmed.
Welcome to the Lodge. You've accessed
the Lodgecast experience.
Warning, warning. Dangerous spoilers ahead. Enjoy.
The Lodgecast is a little podcast where we watch weird movies so you don't have to.
The Lodgecast, baby.
Lodgecast, gonna smoke this. Lodgecast, missing movie pass. Lodgecast.
We're gonna watch some crap.
Lodgecast.
And then the Lodge Master chats.
With Lucas and Bishki.
Episode 182. Reagan.
Hello and welcome to a trickle-down episode of the Lodgecast. I'm your Lodge host. With me as always is President Brother Bishki.
Trust, but verify.
We got Brother Lucas in the back.
Welcome to Cafe Lodgecast, where it's morning on the Lodgecast, even in the afternoon.
And rounding out these Reagan boys, we got Brother Justin.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down these bones.
Oh, aren't we so pleased with ourselves? Here we are. This is the big night.
The big night. We've been waiting many years for this. It's been on the production slate since COVID.
Bishki has shepherded this little film.
Yeah.
Through all manner of storms and winds, and now we're finally ready to press that red button and launch Dennis Quaid as President Ronald Reagan into the Lodgecast lexicon.
The movie is Reagan.
So many listeners and just Lodgecast satellite folks have sent me this trailer saying, just letting you know about this. And I'm like, God damn it, do I know about this?
I purposely did not watch the trailer.
I haven't seen the trailer either.
All I know
I've
is
just
Dennis
been
Quaid's
sent it.
mug on that poster.
Yes, I've just been sent the trailer 100 times. I have not looked.
The trailer is tasty, but the movie's going to be even tastier.
Who do we have to look forward to in this film?
Jon Voight for sure.
Oh, thank God.
Do we want to spoil it all? I don't know.
We won't go too deep, but
yeah.
I think Robert Davi's in this.
Robert Davi is in this.
The director of My Son Hunter.
Yeah.
So we know we're in good hands. And it's the director of, among many other things, he's done three baby geniuses movies.
Oh, so he must be really smart.
I think
Yeah.
he's triple genius level.
Yeah, his filmography is something else.
Is it? Yeah, it's a walk on the wild side. But this podcast is going to be a little different than some. Brother Bishki's innovating left and right.
Yeah, a while back I said, Lodge Master, we're getting ready for Reagan. We're going to go to the Reagan Presidential Library.
Feels like this has also been a couple years where you're like, we're going to the library. Just get ready.
Yeah.
Prepare yourself.
And just a little over a week ago, we did indeed go to the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library, and everyone in this car went.
And survived to tell the tale of Mickey and Mallory Reagan.
Spoiler alert, we survived.
And we recorded a little mini episode at the library, which we'll play in a second. But the library would not have been possible without the help of our Lodgecast Venmo. We've waited for you. We've not forgotten you. Brother Patrick.
Cha-ching!
Cha-ching. You helped us. We gave each other all $15 discounts to the Lodgecast field trip.
To the Reagan Fund.
Reaganomics. Thank you, Brother Patrick.
We trickled it up.
We trickled up. And we had a good time.
Thank you so much, Brother Pat.
Thank you, Brother Patrick. And if you want to fund future Lodgecast field trips, you can You can.
They're not all going to be political in nature. We promise.
Good Lord.
No, a lot of them will be religious in nature.
Yes, like some Clockwork Orange shit.
But you can hit us up on the Venmo at Movie Lodgecast, and we'll use your funds wisely.
We won't lose them. We'll use them. We'll use them for our illusions.
So thank you again, Brother Patrick.
We'll come back right before the movie. But should we say anything anything before we go to the library?
Let's just whisk ourselves away to scenic Simi Valley, California. Take it away, us. Woohoo! We're magically on a field trip in beautiful Simi Valley, California at the Ronald Reagan, what is it?
Presidential Library and Memorial
museum.
Site.
And museum and resting place.
Yes.
Of him
Ronald
and his wife, who
and
got
his- yeah.
buried with them like Smithers with Mr. Burns.
Brother Bishke was hard charging and got us all out here on a Sunday to take in the sights, the sounds, the smells of the life of Ronald Wilson Reagan.
I think so. And I've been here before. I went with my parents maybe 15 years ago and knew it was a special place. And I had to get this crew together for the Reagan movie that we're about to watch. And we're coming off with a hot take of what we thought of this library.
It was more technologically advanced than I expected. They start you right off the bat with a Reagan hologram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was weird. That was uncanny.
Yeah.
Museum lobby.
And he's got an AI voice.
And they tell us like he's got a cold, so he might not sound like you remember.
Yeah, just give him a little leeway. He's a little hoarse.
Because of the late arrival of Marine One, he doesn't have much time to talk with you all.
Yeah.
And I love how the docents were so vigilant on not letting us
Yes.
enter until the hologram was ready to receive us.
Yeah.
You can't see the magic until it's fully ready. The docents were out in force today.
They were on
Yeah.
top of it, dialed in, like just engaging nonstop.
I really like that.
Hundreds of docents ready to tell you a story at any turn.
Like if you walk
It felt
past,
like some of them knew Reagan personally.
yes, and if you make eye contact with them, they will tell you a little story.
yeah, they'll
Yeah.
light up and
They ask you where you're from, why you're wearing that brewer's hat.
yeah.
She's got a t-shirt with a Corvette on it. A docent was like, who drove the Corvette in American Graffiti?
Yeah.
And
I got it wrong. I said Harrison Ford, and then
Lucas was like Suzanne Summers, and he's like, and he points right at him, and then that was all he was programmed to say. He had nothing else to say to us.
yeah,
the one guy we were talking to in the assassination exhibit followed us around a lot.
Yeah.
I think he knew that we could interact with him in a way.
Yeah.
He's like, these guys seem cool.
Speaking of the assassination exhibit, that docent kept telling people, you got to have your whole party here because as soon as the
Yes.
door is triggered, the door shuts, it plays, it's 30 seconds, and I cannot let anyone in
Yes.
until after it's finished playing.
Very
there were
strict.
6 shots, 4 people hit. No one died.
No one
Enjoy.
died.
It's like, well, thanks for spoiling it for us.
Yeah, spoiler alert. There were like little kids toddling around. Like
That was crazy.
there was
Yeah.
a woman with like a little 3-year-old, and this docent was telling about how the bullets went into each person, and she like got stuck right in front of him, and she didn't want to be rude and like usher her small child away, so she just was like, okay, and then another bullet, okay. That was pretty cool.
bullet ricocheted. There's a Star Wars exhibit here right now, which has a tenuous connection
So tenuous.
to the Star Wars SDI.
Strategic Defense Initiative, which was Reagan's idea to like use lasers in outer space to stop the Russians from dropping nukes on us.
So they have a bunch of props and shit from Star Wars, and then they're like, and then Reagan also had his own Star Wars.
Yeah. It was kind of connected, and people were mostly packed into the Star Wars movie section.
And the
but-
mini Spaceballs wing.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
yeah.
There was another technologically advanced section where you could insert yourself into a Ronald Reagan movie, and they had a green screen set up and a teleprompter, and you read the lines, and then you go over on a screen and it shows you edited kind of choppily into.
And you know what's amazing is I didn't know about that until I heard Bishke's voice like reciting something, and the hair on the back of my neck stood up because I was like, "What is Matt and Justin Bishke doing?
Yeah.
They're gonna get us kicked out of here." I thought you guys broke into like an impromptu like Cinesisters short or something.
We had a little meeting beforehand where it's like, okay, we're undercover a little bit at this establishment. We can't like.
Yeah, I can't put my mask on. I can't mask up when I walk in.
Don't mask up. We gotta maybe be a little quiet when we do our top tier jokes.
Oh, man. Well, no, when we were walking in one section, Brother Justin just erupted into laughter. And I was like, what are you laughing? And then I see that like the whole continent of Africa, Reagan never once like visited on Air Force One. I was like, yes.
That's
like,
the other thing.
That's very apparent now that I see it.
They have Air Force One in an airplane hangar here.
The entire Air Force One.
What a sight.
Indoors.
Farts and all. You can really smell the history on that plane.
You really can.
Millions and millions. And yeah.
And they take your picture.
So comfy inside.
They do like a tourist. They take your picture in front of the Air Force One.
You're not allowed to take your own photo, but they can take a photo of it.
And we were doing a bet as to how much they were going to charge us for these photos.
$20.
We were
30?
like 20, to, and then we go down and they print them out and they display them all out in front of you. And she's like doing her spiel, and then she's finally getting to the total, and she's like, "But the special package for you today, $70."
Oh!
And Bishke's like, "I think we're good."
And I hear Reagan just laughing from beyond the grave outside, like,
"Time to pay the piper.
Time to pay one for the gipper."
But it was cool going through it, and there were docents on the plane. Kind of
telling us, do you know what the nuclear football is? And Justin's like,
football.
Yeah, it's the nuclear codes to our capabilities.
And
like,
then that was it for that docent.
Yeah, and that guy shut down.
Okay.
He's like, powering down.
And there was a guy that was just standing next to this mannequin of, one of the cabinet members.
Oh, I so desperately wanted to photograph that, but we weren't allowed.
And he just stood there all day just being like, this is the typewriter that he typed on. I mean, what a job.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine like just getting fucking chonged and docenting around
just
all day.
Waking up every morning, shaving, getting dressed in a suit, and then just standing in that Air Force One for 8 hours. Just telling people about the typewriter. He wrote 1,000 speeches. I was like, damn.
And there's jelly bean shit everywhere.
Yeah. Jelly Belly, specific brand.
Reagan loved his Jelly Bellies.
And whether you love it or hate it, his favorite flavor was black licorice.
And there's a whole room groaned.
Yeah, like,
it's un-American. And then there's a giant portrait of Reagan made out of Jelly Bellies.
Yeah, that was my favorite. It was almost like near the bathrooms or the elevators.
Yeah.
It was like they were ashamed
It was
to
an afterthought.
showcase it. I'm like, this should be in the gift shop where all the Jelly Belly shit is for sale.
And then the gift shop. Wow.
Yeah.
There were a bunch of mugs that just say trust but verify. And then there were also on deep clearance was what appeared to be Nancy Reagan couture, kind of weird knockoffs of her iconic looks. And let me tell you, I looked at the price tag of one of them. It started at $275.
Jesus Christ.
And then there were just physical cross-outs, like 5 different prices as it just tumbled down to $100, which was still, for this particular garment,
for cotton, for like 100% cotton.
Too much.
Probably made in Africa.
Not cotton. It was synthetic as fuck.
PFAs for you and the whole fam.
But, I mean, what an adventure, It
was bigger than I thought. I honestly, in my mind, was picturing a very solemn, museum library with nobody there.
No.
And we struggled to find parking when we got here.
Yeah, there were a lot of people here.
People are pumped for Reagan movie. And money has been poured in. T. Boone Pickens, Rupert Murdoch.
Yeah.
Giuliani was on the list of donators.
Gary Sinise was there.
Gary Sinise, Merv Griffin.
And then we exited through the gift shop and we paid our respects at their actual grave site. We're looking at it right now.
Yeah.
You could almost pee on it if you had the car waiting for you to jump into to get out of here.
We didn't get into any trouble. We were very respectful. Let's go in there, Ronald Reagan Library Museum bones.
I, Ronald Reagan, the 40th President of the United States of America, can feel it in my bones. I hope Brother Bishke, the hothead, and their nincompoop buddies don't woof my presidential library, so help me God.
This is Bishke's dream come true. We'll save Bishke to last this time. This time. Brother Justin, how are your bones looking? Did you get a Star Wars bump?
The Star Wars exhibit I thought was kind of strange because my theory is that someone who works here collects Star Wars figures,
yes,
and figured out a way to just spend 10 grand on Star Wars figures and replicas
yeah,
for an exhibit, quote unquote. Because
right.
most of that shit is just stuff you can buy.
But it's bringing people out here to
Yeah.
gawk at it.
So it's good. It's a good way to get people in the door for sure. We were told by one of the docents that the next exhibit is for the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Not
So
going to
they're
be
probably-
quite as popular.
They're probably going to enjoy this popularity while it lasts.
Yeah.
But as a museum, the facility's really nice. It's a good little plot of land. Having the entirety of Air Force One was pretty cool in there.
Cool.
I enjoyed that a lot. I like the Berlin Wall section. There's a weird part where you can crawl in a hole.
Yeah,
in the
Justin was
replica
crawling all
Berlin
over that
Wall.
That was making me laugh pretty hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's strange because I haven't been to a museum. I won't say I'm here against my will, but
sure.
it's something I didn't choose ideologically. We're here as curious observers.
Yeah.
So it kind of brought me back to being a kid where I'm like, I don't want to learn about Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
Right.
So removing myself from that, I think this is a 2.5 bone museum.
Nice. 2.5.
Revisionist history aside.
Right.
Those aren't bones for accuracy.
Right. Brother Lucas, what are you doing?
Yeah, I echo a lot of what Brother Justin just said, because we did agree coming up here that it was like a reconnaissance mission and that we would be going incognito, undercover, as politically neutral attendees.
Yeah.
But I was raised by a late single mother who was a hardcore, like, working class Democrat, and Reagan was not a good guy in our family, even though we were Christian Catholics or whatever, because he shut down the California state mental hospitals, and we had a relative who had schizophrenia that got put out on the street, and we had to put them in a convalescent home.
That was not covered in the museum.
No.
Yeah, which my mom and I would visit them, once a month to take them out to lunch. My Teta Lori in Northern California, and it was very depressing. It was not fun to take care of her in that kind of situation. And then I just found out I'm today years old, earlier this year, that Reagan was also the guy to fuck up the UC school system, charging this insane tuition prices because he didn't want poor people becoming, socialists. He didn't want, Americans to be corrupted by communists or whatever.
But the jelly bellies.
Yeah. So I knew we were doing the Dennis Quaid Reagan movie, so I felt this was like a good excuse to come out here, and especially with the Star Wars angle. I got my Imperial Empire Darth Vader t-shirt on. I was just impressed by the size of it. There is a lot of stuff there, like all his note cards and diaries and stuff I found fascinating. Copies of his daily schedule, right down to the minute of when he was almost assassinated was like in his schedule, which I thought was very, morbidly interesting.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, when we first walked into that first exhibit with the hologram, it Reagan pills you. Like it kind of rubs off on you, like his folksy kind of like, welcome to my house of horrors and see if you can get out of here alive, you goddamn Democrats. But yeah, like when we walked into that next exhibit, where it has like his childhood and his Hollywood career.
Yeah.
And his radio career.
Looking like Biff Tannen.
I was just going to say that. I was like, this is what it must have felt like for Marty McFly to show up in the alternate Hill Valley 1985, where he goes to the Clock Tower Courthouse, which is now the Casino Museum, Gaming Museum or whatever.
Right.
And you're like getting that clip that just shows like Biff's rise to power, and I'm just like, oh man, that's when I started to feel weird, where I was like, I don't belong here. This is weird. And yeah, like they're talking about how great it was that he deregulated the oil industry and all this stuff. And I'm like, cool, dude. Like there's a fucking tornado in New York a few years ago. Like glad you did that. So yeah, I felt a little uneasy as it like went on, and I was
how many Reagan bones?
For sure getting COVID. I'll give it 2.5 bones.
Whoa!
because of that Air Force One exhibit. I mean, I've never been on Air Force One, and that's like, cool. Like, I can't say that's not cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
So that bumped it up.
All right, 2.5, 2.5. You know what? Bishki's been talking to me about bringing me here for years now. So it's been building up in my mind. I'm like, this is not going to be as cool as Bishki thinks it is. But we got here, and it's way cooler than I thought it was going to be. I mean, again, content aside, and we're, vacationing as Reaganites. I got no complaints except for the exorbitant price of the pictures. And Justin was like, if they just lower it to like $20, they'd be selling like hotcakes. $70 for these fucking pictures. Anyway, I'm going to go 3 bones, but Brother Ben slump it down to 2.5 because of that picture price. Fuck you, Reagan.
It's a Brother Ben slump, y'all.
Yeah, I'm here for it. I've been here before, and it just gets better every time. I mean, I love the 80s. I love seeing, like, Just Say No, like Nancy Reagan, like...
I'm sorry to interrupt. I got really nervous at the Just Say No part of the exhibit because I didn't want a docent to come up to me to talk about it because I would just burst out laughing in his face, and I just had to start biting my lip.
The docent would know you're dosed.
Yeah. And, like Reagan, like... We'll get more into Reagan into the cast.
Yeah.
We're going to get deep into Reagan, but this is top-notch presidential library material. And if you're out in the Southern California area, I do recommend. You got to see this Air Force One and
Marine One.
And Marine One.
And Marine One.
And there's a replica of the Oval Office, actual size from his second term, plants and replica statues included.
And there's a Gipper Cafe if you get a little peckish.
15% off happy hour.
And there's like a
week happy hour.
Ireland tavern with like Guinness you can drink.
Apparently that tavern was imported from Ireland when he went to visit his hometown. The pub was called like O'Farrell's, and as soon as he showed up, they renamed it the Ronald Reagan Pub. And it was in business from like when he showed up until the late 90s, and when it closed down, they tore it apart and then shipped it to that fucking airplane hangar.
I bet our tax dollars paid for that.
It looked authentic.
Or those photos.
It looked authentic. And
or photo dollars.
It tops the Nixon Library down in OC. And this fun field trip, thanks for joining. Lodge Master, LT, Brother Justin, 3 bones.
3 solid bones.
And it's a beautiful area, beautiful day.
But we can't stay here in the past. We got to whisk ourselves back to the Reagan Lodgecast.
Saturday night, we're sending you back to the Lodgecast.
Can't wait. Let's zoom back to the present day. Star Wars. Oh, wow. That was fun, guys.
Man, glad to be back in Burbank where it's still just as hot as Simi Valley.
Yeah. No, we're having a heat wave, and we are ready to get hot for a 2-hour and 20-minute biopic.
4 more minutes?
But I don't know about you guys, but I regret not buying more merch at the library. We could be decked the fuck out in Reagan wear.
I should have bought the Jelly Belly starter pack that I could be nibbling on all throughout this movie. Maybe it'll like make the politics go down smoother.
Listen, we can always go back.
I bought a magnet that I lost, so I need to go back.
It's a sign.
We went out to lunch, and I think Bishki was gesturing or something, and it flew across the restaurant.
And nobody knew what it was.
Bishki got a magnet of Reagan and then lost it the way Reagan lost his mind.
There you go. Well, I can't wait to see this film tonight. I'm all napped up and ready to go. And if we're not careful, guys, we may just have a little fun.
I mean, dragons are going to be there. Trust me.
And there's some dragons in this presidency.
There are salad characters, and there's a lot. We've been doing our Reagan research, at least Lodge Master and I have been watching some Reagan docs.
Yes.
And reading some Reagan Wikipedias and things like that. So we're ready.
And it doesn't look like there's that many people in here for discount night.
Discount night.
No, they want to pay full price.
Yes.
Not like some fucking commies.
Right.
Yeah. No.
Rolling up to get the cheap seats.
So hopefully the air conditioner is working in there.
Oh, man.
Bishki, what have you done?
What have we done?
Let's climb them steps, y'all. It's Reagan time.
Running late.
We have returned from the shining city on the hill, y'all.
Well, Nancy, I should have ducked. I should have walked out.
I want to see a supercut from this movie.
Well.
I forgot to mention at the outset that sweet, prestigious brother Zach was in a little text chain with Bishke and Lucas and myself. This was yesterday. He said, "I just thank God that you guys aren't covering Reagan." And
we were like,
the record scratch.
We were like, wait.
Well,
we were like,
that's what my heart and my mind feels, but
and
the facts and the evidence show differently.
I said something like, not only are we covering it, we're covering the fuck out of it. And I'm not familiar with the down thumb reaction on text. It's like, doot, doot.
It's rare.
It's the dislike button.
There were so many dislikes, and I was like, Zach, what do you think we do?
What podcast are you listening,
what are you listening to? So that seamlessly segued
into the Geneva Reykjavik Summit,
into updating our Dinesh D'Souza Accord, which once Joseph Robinette Biden won the presidency, we couldn't cover any Dinesh D'Souza movies for 4 years.
4 years.
And we've tried to circumvent that. We've tried to find loopholes.
Well, I mean, you guys still go to them, right?
Yeah,
and we just don't podcast.
I definitely went to, and we'll get to it eventually, how many mules was it?
2,000?
No.
3,000?
4,000 mules?
There's a lot of mules. And we will find any way to talk about the mules. Zach basically gave me a script to say. And this is what he said. The Lodge Master and Brother Bishke are playing with your freedom to have a Dinesh-less existence. And to them I say, we're not going back. Register. Vote. If not for the country, then for a Dinesh-free Lodgecast. So if Trump wins, complete bedlam, and we can have Zach on one political cast a year, and it's going to be a Dinesh.
Before Project 2025 shuts our podcast down.
That he also
in
said
that timeline.
He
in
said,
that timeline,
he
we're all
said-
rounded up and re-educated at the Reagan Library.
He said Project 2025 will indeed shut us down. He did say
He's
that.
not wrong.
But if Kamala wins,
It's on page 467.
it's another 4 years of no Dinesh, and he gets one veto.
Yeah.
So
That was like the SDI, like.
that was a tough It was a tough negotiation.
You're going to make us give up Star Wars? Like,
yeah. And
Quick question. Why are you letting this fucking commie push you around?
we didn't. We stood strong, and I said, well, thank God Reagan is tomorrow, and you have no power over us. So we are fucking here, and we sat through 2 hours and 22 minutes.
Gentlemen, this is the Lodgecast Manifest.
Oh my God. Well, before we get into it.
Bishke! What's that shot?
From Rotten Tomatoes. From dusty small town.
You can't keep it up. That thing's
you
too
gotta
long.
do it. You
That's
gotta
too
do it
long.
now.
All
No,
right.
you gotta do it now.
Play through.
I'm not good at it. I'm just gonna just say it.
All right.
From dusty small town roots to the glitter of Hollywood, and then on to commanding the world stage, Reagan is a cinematic journey of overcoming the odds, told through the voice of Viktor Petrovich,
Yes.
a former KGB agent
Watch
whose
out
life
for him.
becomes inextricably linked with Ronald Reagan's when Reagan first caught the Soviets' attention as an actor in Hollywood.
Who wrote this?
This film offers a perspective as unique as it is captivating. Dennis Quaid brings to life a story that transcends the boundaries of a traditional biopic, offering a profound exploration of the enduring impact of the power of one man who overcame the odds, sustained by the love of a woman who supported him in his journey. Period.
This doesn't transcend shit.
No.
I mean, God damn, it was long.
Can really feel it in the back stretch.
It feels like we could have driven all the way to the Reagan Library, spent the time that we spent there and driven back.
Yeah.
In the time that it took us to watch this.
And they
like
used the Reagan Library as their primary source. The Oval Office, Air Force One, Marine One.
Because I'm I think we were right there.
Yes.
Yeah. That made them, that's like almost a whole bone.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was there.
But did you notice how Brother Bishke bailed on that Ronald Reagan impression after 30 seconds?
Yes.
Do you think that occurred to Dennis Quaid where he's like, should I not do the silly accent? And everyone's just like, well, you kind of gotta.
You kind of have.
Let's paint the picture.
He's all the way in.
We're at the very back of the AMC 16 in Auditorium 11, which is not a big theater.
That's where they put the political stuff now.
It's Tuesday discount night, but there's maybe a handful of older couples.
Yes.
Old women, old couples. There's like a married couple with their small child or like young child, but it is not by any means sold out.
But there were a couple other snarky boys kind of behind us. I detected.
Yeah.
I detected some irony.
Typically, our MO is to loiter outside the theater for at least 20 minutes, so we get in there right for Nicole.
Yeah,
and then we can sit for the runtime. But tonight, we wanted to see the trailers.
One in particular.
And the first trailer that I walk into is Lincoln's Lovers.
It's called
Lover of Men.
Lover of Men, The Untold Story of President Lincoln. Look up the trailer for this one.
You have to imagine a crowd that is like fluffed for Reagan, and they are then confronted by a trailer for a movie that posits that Lincoln is gay.
It was straight up out of Portlandia.
It is
with Kids in the Hall or
with
something.
Reenactments of Lincoln being gay.
Bonkers.
It was the funniest shit. The dichotomy of what was expected at the theater and what was being served.
It was such a great troll. I got to see Lovers of Men.
Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing. So,
but then it shows us some regular Hollywood trailers like Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis, a fable, which Bishke has now averted his eyes twice now.
Yeah, I got to keep averting.
Once in the IMAX, once in Auditorium 11. Bishke closes his eyes. He does not want to see how bad it looks.
It looks great, by the way.
And then the final trailer goes back to weird shit.
Back down the rabbit hole.
I can't even remember what it was. What was it now?
It was Mel Gibson fighting monsters?
Well, no, that was another one.
No, that was a Hollywood one. I'm talking about the weird one. I'm talking about the one it closes
the weird one.
The Emil Hirsch, like Auschwitz.
Oh, that's
Auschwitz
right.
romantic comedy.
And it's directed by the director of Reagan. We noticed.
That's why that was there.
Mr. Sean McNamara.
And you get just the funniest lineup of production company logos. Shit you've never heard.
The first one made us laugh.
Yeah, it
was like Showbiz Direct. Like we'd already been scammed. Like your phone has been hacked. The Russians have got our RIFD chip.
And if you take the initials of Showbiz Direct, it's SD, which brings to mind lower quality than HD, let alone 4K or 8K.
Which some of this stock footage was.
D, man.
Yeah.
The stock the stock footage, if you remove the stock footage from this film, it would be a regular running time.
Yeah.
We would have been able to handle it much easier. But
we got to talk about that framing device, but the opening shot is low-res stock footage of the hotel that Reagan was shot outside of, and they fucking linger.
They lingered, and not only did they linger,
they enhance, pinch and zoom, enhance.
The time period it was supposed to take place in was 1981 because he was just about to get shot, and they don't use 1981 stock footage. It's newer stock footage. So when they linger on the hotel, they crudely paint the cars around the hotel to be more period. And it is wild to look at that. Like
it feels like you're hallucinating on like speed, like your vision is fluttering, like you're about to have a heart attack.
And if they didn't linger, you wouldn't even notice that shit. But they lingered for so long, and I'm like, wait, they're fucking with this footage to make the cars look older. Like, why? Why though? Why not just why not just figure out a different way to set up your scenes other than stock footage, and then we're in a meeting in a building.
Yeah.
Stock footage, tilt up a building into a window, and then we're in a meeting.
Yeah.
That's the whole fucking movie.
It is soft period piece. And I guess they shot it in like Oklahoma.
They did because I think they were shooting it in 2020.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to comply with COVID restrictions.
Yeah. And Oklahoma was loose.
Oklahoma was ready for
and
it.
apparently they had a COVID outbreak on set, according to IMDb trivia.
Yeah, I do not doubt it. But
that'd be a
Quaid
pretty
gives
good
his
story
life for the movie. Yeah.
If I got COVID again and I got to tell everyone I got it from Dennis Quaid as Ronald Reagan, that's a good fucking story.
That's great.
Good, yeah.
All right, we need to talk about this wraparound framing device.
So yeah, I thought at first I was like, okay, this is a solid framing device, but then it goes from the cold opening of the assassination attempt to like
modern
Russia present day. And we all looked at each other like, wait, like present day, like 2024?
Yeah.
I don't know what year
it was. And of course we go to stock.
It was present day.
Oh, okay.
Of course we go to stock footage where they don't have to paint anything out. There's Priuses driving around or whatever. And we're just like, wait, what? What is?
Wait, didn't the president just get shot? Yeah, we gotta go back to
day? That. Like, but all of us shut the fuck up when the one, the only Jon Voight waddles onto the screen.
Oscar-winning actor Jon Voight.
Full Russian persona.
Yeah. And he does not lose his accent.
No.
And his accent is thick.
It's thick.
It narrates the entire film.
2 hours and 20 minutes.
They were like, Mr. Voight, we're going to make it so you don't have to leave one set. Well, you are going to have to show. Well, because the thing is, they just played a trick on my brain just now because we see him as a younger man too, and it is such a striking vision what they do to him.
We could not stop laughing.
I divorced it from his old self.
Every time it cut to him as his young self.
Every time.
Funny. Every
time.
Fucking time.
So what did they do? They obviously
digi the fuck out of his face.
Well, they caked a bunch of, it looked like modeling clay on his face to fill it out a little bit more.
Because dyed his eyebrows.
He's very gaunt. They dyed his eyebrows.
They gave him a beard.
They gave him a weird, like, Siegfried and Roy beard.
What he
and a
looked,
disheveled tie from a thrift store, loosened.
He looked just like Will Ferrell as James Lipton on SNL.
It was positively Lipton-esque.
Oh man, that's
and
it.
Every time they cut to him, I hear Justin down the road just go. It was funny
every fucking time.
And it was also like every time they cut to him as the young KGB, he was always looking frightened.
He was
like someone
more suspicious. He's suspecting someone.
His eyes are just shifting left to right.
I gotta get a screenshot of that.
Every one of those was a gift.
Every one of them.
I got some gifts coming of Victor Petrovich.
So yeah, that's our narrator. It's narrated in this fucking soupy Russian accent.
Where he's like telling this fuckboy Fred Savage why communism fucking collapsed.
But say what you will, Love and Light, Jon Voight's a good actor. I'm not saying it's a bad performance. It's a thick Russian accent, but imagine if it wasn't Jon Voight, you know?
Mm-hmm. And so the whole time I was like, guys, even with Quaid, I was like, fucking cast younger actors.
Yeah.
Why are you embarrassing yourself? And
so
then I
now,
thought, then you would rob me of how fucking funny this is.
It's too funny. It's too funny.
Yeah.
So let's talk Quaid.
Yeah.
Quaid is fully committed to the bit.
Quaid's mouth is...
He's got it down. I mean...
It's twisted into a little weird rictus smile.
He really studied those tapes.
And they keep calling him the Crusader throughout, and that made me think of another Quaid performance that we covered, which was The Intruder.
Yeah, and his face in that is amazing.
It's like... It's one notch away from his Reagan performance in amplitude.
No, and he has that kind of psychopath look.
Psycho.
And yeah, he does not have the Reagan warmth. He's got
but
like
he does kind of look like him though.
He does, yeah.
They style him right. His hair is perfect for him.
Yeah.
I bought him as Reagan for sure.
So the funny thing about Reagan is that we see him as a little boy, as a little Four Eyes, which that casting, I mean, no offense to that kid, I'm sure he tries hard, but he had to be a family member of somebody or some local hire.
Peaches Quaid.
He might have been Peaches Quaid.
Oh, that was the dog.
Really? Oh,
the dog was Peaches Quaid.
So anyway,
That's some dogatism.
I say he's still Peaches Quaid. So we see him from like age, I don't know, 10 to 13 or something. And then we get another actor. We get a little bump when it's his lifeguard years.
Lifeguard, yeah.
And he's, maybe 20 or so. And then it's like they're telling us the years, and then it goes forward 2 years, and then it's Quaid. He goes from 20 to like 65 de-aged.
Yeah.
And it is wild.
Quaid is 70. He's the exact age that Reagan was when he entered the presidency.
He's 70, like playing 25, 30.
When he's the actor, it's just like...
Which is
some
wild.
Irishman shit happening.
Yeah. I fucking love it. Yeah, the Irishman came to mind too. When
I was thinking the Irishman.
De-aged Voight was walking through the halls of Russian power or whatever. And, he's looking like a robust, Tekken villain. But... the walk gives him away. Like it's
the real walk. It's the real Voight walking in that wide and that drone fucking shot. There's so many drone shots.
One bit of casting that I fucking thought was actually kind of excellent was Robert Davi.
Yes,
as Brezhnev.
Davi.
I was buying that wholesale.
Yeah, he was looking like someone from like the Mario Brothers universe.
He looked like the old Jake LaMotta.
Yes,
when he's like gone to seed.
Yeah, Davi can always play a Russian.
Yeah. So,
so here's what confused me. In the opening credits, it's Dennis Quaid, Penelope Ann Miller, but then Mena Suvari. So I was like, how did Penelope Ann Miller not get the Ann title card because she's Nancy when Mena Suvari is basically like a cameo as his first wife, Jane Wyman? I was confused by the billing.
I think Penelope Ann Miller wanted second billing. I think that's where to put her. Like Mena Suvari, they're putting some respect on her name, even though like she's been in some weird shit.
What's she been up to?
She was in that OJ pro OJ movie, imagining OJ was innocent movie.
Whoa.
So she's down to clown with these COVID dodgers. But it's funny that Penelope Ann Miller was in this too. I think for my money, Voight, Quaid, and Penelope Ann Miller, I have no problem with their performances overall. Like, I think they held this, whatever this thing was, together as best as they could.
Penelope Ann looks the part. Like, when she gets the short Nancy Reagan hair, like, that's pretty good.
Something came to mind when I saw her in this, and I looked it up. I trusted, but I verified. She was in the made-for-TV movie about Rudy Giuliani that starred James Woods, and she was his love interest in that. Like
Penelope.
The early 90s.
What is Penelope's politics?
What are you doing, Penelope? Anyway, so he's with Mena Suvari as Jane Wyman, and they go to the nightclub, and we finally lay eyes, all too briefly, on our salad-dragging character. I mean,
this is our first big laugh.
This is a huge laugh.
We could not keep it in.
And to be honest, this is what the majority of people have been sending me. Frank Sinatra is portrayed in this film by none other than Creed frontman Scott Stapp.
With arms wide open.
So wide open. He's in maybe 3 shots tops. That's it.
Yeah.
And he looks nothing like Frank Sinatra. Like, even
I wouldn't have known.
I didn't think it was Sinatra. Yeah.
If you squint all the way, you still can't make it make sense. So I think they were just like, we could use a little razzle dazzle, or Mr. Stapp's like hanging around the set already. Let's put him in, coach, Like, what led to that?
Interesting.
Maybe because this was production during COVID, if you got COVID, you just got cast in the movie because they didn't give a fuck.
They ship you right in.
So maybe Scott Stapp got COVID and he was like, well, guess I'll show up and be a singer.
So we get that, and old Jane Wyman cools on him a little bit. So his eyes doth wander.
Starts getting political.
And he starts getting political around this time. And of course, everything's upside down in this world where
it's so upside down if you apply it to the current situation.
It's the Red Scare, and I didn't know that they were gonna go into him being an FBI informant, but they frame him naming names behind the scenes as like super heroic.
Yeah.
Like the coolest thing that any American could do.
He's right there with Joe McCarthy. Get him.
And they didn't say McCarthy. They'll never say McCarthy.
Yeah.
But they make it seem like, oh God, like he was fighting for America behind the scenes.
Yeah.
When he's just like, who knows what it went into the names that he named, you know? Like obviously he was into power. So
he was going at it with Dalton Trumbo at one point in this movie.
Yeah, the actor who played the commie union guy looked like Phil Hartman, but it wasn't because he's dead. But I was confused because one scene where they fought looked like him.
It was. It's funny, and then like when he switches from being a Democrat to a Republican, like in the documentary we watched, it was very clear that he was offering companies carte blanche to do whatever the fuck they wanted to get profit, and that's of course why they were drawn to him. They're like, holy shit, this guy. We need to have this guy fucking being our mouthpiece.
General Electric years, yeah.
And in this movie, that's just like the Democrats left me, you know?
Yeah.
Everything is completely lionizing him, at least for the first half or so.
I did appreciate that montage of him when his career's in the shitter and he's just in all these bad commercials.
Yeah, that was good.
A pretty good scene.
There were spikes where I'm like, shit, this movie's kind of working, you know?
Yeah.
Spikes go up and they go down. So there were moments.
There was a comedic moment later on.
Yes.
Where the Russian presidents start dying.
That's a crouton.
Yeah.
Salad crouton.
That's the Baby Geniuses director coming through. Like that is like
it was like pure comedy that worked.
Yeah.
It's like the Russian leadership keeps dying. And so they show like, you know, the same desk with Voight just like standing over them, looking down, like all creepy. And one of them will get chest pains. And then they'll cut to a state funeral service.
With like funny Russian music.
Yep. And with whoever just died superimposed on all the like flags and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's the exact same cadence, the exact same rhythm, and they do it 3 times.
Solid.
It's so funny. The whole audience came together and was laughing at that. So kudos to that. But
we got a long way till that comes.
A long way. We have what we refer to on this podcast as a Bishke bathroom blooper for the ages, y'all.
Bishke's bathroom bloopers.
Sorry.
Oh man, dude!
I missed out.
Dude, the second you stood up, I'm like, Bishke. Like Lucas got up and left for the bathroom, and he missed nothing.
Yeah,
he reads the tea leaves, or like Ronnie Reagan himself said in this when he's talking about his lifeguard. He's like, I learned to read the currents, but not just on top of the water, under the water as well. And Lucas has obviously mastered that.
I have
Bishke, you are still a Padawan. Like, you don't know when to leave a movie. Because you left at the exact time you particularly would have loved to see what happened.
I tried to calculate it, but I was Jimmy Carter. I didn't know.
So what happened was Bishke exits. So we're all on high alert. We're like, oh shit, something good's going to happen finally. And
the moment you're out of the room, as soon as you went down the hallway,
they are having a little evangelical meet and greet by the pool in Reagan's backyard. And he's meeting with Pat Boone, who is played by some guy, and he doesn't have any lines, but they label him.
Yeah.
And then they're like, and this preacher who is played by the actual Pat Boone, who is like 100 years old.
Yeah, he is so old. And I knew he was in this movie, and I was like, where was he?
And he has a line, and unfortunately I don't have it verbatim, but it's something to the effect of, if you run for power, I guarantee it will be in your favor.
You'll be living at 1600.
It's like some sort of prophecy, and Nancy's like really into it, and then that's it.
And then it just cuts. Yeah, it's like there's this cut of Dennis Quaid as Ronald Reagan, like absorbing what Pat Boone just told him.
His like eyes are fluttering a little bit. And he's like taking it in,
and I started losing it, like
funny.
laughing so hard I couldn't stop.
I don't know if anybody else in the theater knew what had just taken place.
And I had to bite my tongue to not be distracting, but I had tears rolling down my cheeks because of that look, which is totally a gif, which then triggered something in my brain where I was like, wait a minute, there's something that they didn't show us at the Reagan Library, which was that Nancy Reagan was a super duper astrologer.
Yeah.
Big time. Had like some crazy quacky lady that would read the fucking star charts and horoscopes.
Sure, they paid her well too.
And like literally like, cancel meetings or state dinners if it was like a full moon or some shit. And I forget the woman's name. I should have looked it up before we got in the car. But like,
we can't keep all this Reagan ephemera at the forefront of our brains.
And the other thing, the Reagan Library didn't fucking educate me on is the motherfucker lost his first presidential run. How did I not know that? I was like, what? I thought he just took his dick out and started swinging it around. Everyone dropped to their knees to get in line to suck it. And he fucking lost his first election. He's a fucking loser.
Yeah. The library doesn't even mention his first wife. Like, it doesn't. No. Library, anything. Yeah.
They whitewashed it.
To the movie's credit, it did include a lot of things. I leaned over to Bishk and I'm like, do you think the word AIDS will be uttered in this film? And
amazingly,
they got us.
It wasn't uttered, but it was shown on screen.
So they're off the hook, right? So because they like pointed it out, like he's off the hook.
I would say this is. Is it a crouton? Is it a dragon?
I'll give it a dragon.
Let's give it a dragon.
The Salad Dragon. A scene in a movie that is so bizarre, baffling, or transcendent that it instantly justifies the price of admission. Or Reese Witherspoon's leafy transformation in A Wrinkle in Time.
We got Phil Collins.
Yes, finally.
Land of Confusion. If you haven't seen that music video, a great Ronald Reagan puppet.
Yes.
In that.
And they use the shit out of it.
They use footage. I guess Phil was just like, who knows if he has, but they use Land of Confusion song. It's not a cover, I don't think.
No, it's real.
An AI cover.
And we get an 80s montage for the ages. Like,
they use a little footage from Club MTV from the 90s, which I'm like, ugh, like 10 years off, guys.
But they got some wild
editing and
80s visual effects from the current day. Like,
and they use this section, this little montage, as a clearinghouse for every problem that anybody had with Reagan at the time.
Yeah.
So it just had stats on the screen like the word AIDS never uttered until however many people died, you know? And like they show like Reagan with like inverted pink triangles over his eyes. Like, what was some of that shit? I want to
like those video game graphics.
Oh wait, no. I thought the Salad Dragon was when he thought the Russians were going to nuke us, and he like saw like all the potential loss of life and all the digi like targets on the board go into his eyeball.
We'll just package that in with this.
That came right before, and that's also a dragon.
Yeah, and then it like goes into his eyeball, and we see like the missiles hitting New York City with the Twin Towers still standing,
with
baby.
The budget.
And then it comes back out of his eye.
And he hadn't said anything, and then it just
he didn't do shit. He didn't do anything. He was
like, it was
frozen.
a flock of geese.
And they're like, we're off the hook, sir. You don't have to do anything. He's like, well, have a jelly bean.
But yeah, this montage should be studied in film classes, certain film classes at Oral Roberts University or something. So we're into the 80s.
We're into the presidency. We're in a lot of backroom meetings.
More upside down shit. Margaret Thatcher is like a hero in this.
Yeah, they should have cast a stronger actor for Thatcher. But anyway.
Yeah. Well, that doesn't always work, because if you were forced to watch The Crown by your spouse, as I was, Gillian Anderson plays Margaret Thatcher poorly.
Oh no!
I saw The Iron Lady. That was a rough sit with Meryl Streep as Margaret Thatcher. Anyway,
I had a screener of that I used as a coaster. Anyway,
it's also interesting that there's no vice president in this Reagan story.
Oh, yeah.
He was in there briefly.
Very briefly.
At the like 2-hour mark.
Yeah.
I think it's because the Republicans have turned their back on the Bushes. Is that right? I don't know.
I mean, the back half of this movie is deadly. Yeah. It is so boring. It is so very boring.
Yeah. I was pretty high for the first hour and 20 minutes, but once it wore off, I was like looking at my watch and I was like, oh my God.
I had to ask Lucas twice what the time remaining was, and both times I was like, what? What?
Yeah, they're playing the greatest hits, but it's the 80s, and you're not showing like fun 80s, like kind of soft period stuff.
Yeah, part of the reason that he was so popular is because people were tired of being fucking bummed out by the 70s.
Right. Yeah.
So we overcorrected with this fuck yeah America, Hulk Hogan, Sylvester Stallone 80s, which I'm pretty safe in saying everyone in this car reveres.
Of course.
But tonally, they didn't really get that.
No.
You know what I mean?
They failed.
There's no tone.
They failed on the tone of the 80s for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it really does just feel like we're at the Reagan Library and they have an extra long thing they need to show us.
Yeah.
Dude, when they got on Marine One, I was like, is this hologram going to come out right now?
I recalled the hologram for sure. And I'm like, this is just a very complicated hologram presentation. Like, this is something that would be on TNT in like the 90s. Mm-hmm. This shouldn't be in the theater.
No. And so all the hilarity that comes with the de-aging aside, if you're smart and you have a limited amount of money, just set it during his fucking presidency.
Right. Like shift
and
it.
have him tell like little stories, or have it be only like a 1-year period of time or something, like the Aaron Sorkin Steve Jobs movie.
Yeah, you got to follow your butt. You can't blow up New York on no budget and expect it not to be hilarious.
Yeah.
Like this whole movie, like if you weren't like soaking in it for 2.5 hours and you just came in off the street at any moment, you just double over laughing because it's funny. It's just
the cinematography, it's not the production design. It looks
it's
like
not there.
shit.
Just the look in Dennis Quaid's like eye as Reagan when he's like, "Oh, you like a handful of jelly beans, do you? Not just one color, eh?
You could tell a lot by a man. You tell a lot of fuck it. I don't want to do it.
That's exactly right.
Sucks the jelly off the jelly beans."
So it gets a little unintentionally homoerotic at the end too, which I appreciated. Where they go to this,
a little broke back.
They go to this dude and they're like, "You got to start riding with the president," and he's like, "Oh, really?" And he's like, and the dude's like, "Giddy up," and he's just like President Reagan's riding buddy, and that is kind of used to show how his cognitive abilities are declining because he's getting lost on the trail and he might get bucked off the horse. But there's just the dude's such a stud that it just gives it that undertone.
I leaned over and was like, Lincoln's lover.
Yes, it connected directly to that. And they like the subtext wasn't very deep where he's just like, we're not having as much fun riding as we used to, are we? And Reagan's like, well, let's do one last ride. And they're just like looking into each other's soul, and Nancy's like voyeuristically watching him from the window. I mean, with movies this long and this boring, you have to start making your shadow version of said movie if you're going to survive. We do it all the time. So I was just like thinking about this three-way deep sweeping romance between Nancy, Ronnie, and the cowboy stud. And
you weren't genuinely moved by the goldfish moment?
Oh, man.
Where Dennis Quaid was staring cross-eyed at an empty goldfish bowl
with a White House at the bottom of it, mini White House.
My favorite flashback was when his Reagan's mom was like, "You got to face those bullies," and I leaned over to Justin. I was he's gonna get his ass kicked, and then like his mom watches her son get his ass kicked, like off camera. And I was like,
it's just like They Live, where it's just 10 straight minutes.
I would have loved to see that
flashback of Ronnie just getting beat down.
I could have rounded this up to an even 2.5 hours just to fill it in with that beatdown.
Yeah.
I was also impressed that they didn't say make America great again, because that was a Ronald Reagan thing. I mean, it seems like something maybe they entertained and then we're just like, too
much baggage.
Well, there's some Trump undertones with like inflation's high, stuff's more expensive.
Right.
Are you better off 4 years ago? You know, that they're trying to use now with Trump.
But they're also, I mean, I would argue too that there are dog whistles in the opposite direction for never Trump Republicans, because the whole fucking movie is anti-Russian, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And they do make it a point to criticize him for being old. And he essentially gets out of it with one joke.
That
wins in a landslide because of one.
That's a gif when he's drinking the water.
Joke. Yeah.
All smug.
Like, I won't hold my opponent's youth and inexperience against him.
And then they're doing the fucking Forrest Gump compositing where it's the real Walter Mondale looking like a completely different resolution than Dennis Quaid.
Russell Crowe from Virtuosity.
And it should also be stated that the stock footage is all different resolutions, and some of it is just like janky, like the Las Vegas stuff. Like
where it was interlaced.
It was interlaced. If you video editors out there, like you can't. That's a no, man.
That's torture for us.
Like, you're saying wrong frame rate.
You can't.
Yeah.
It's like they got a discount.
File not rendered.
They got a weird batch discount on this shitty stock footage.
Well, it's not encoded right, but then there's footage that's AI up-resed.
Yes.
So it's like it's all over the fucking place.
What
it's
a mess.
Bizarre. That I gotta say, that weird AI upscaling is going to out this time period of movies so hard in 20 years,
because everything's going to have that weird that
like they're all wearing a death mask,
artificially crisp look. Well, let's go to them Reagan bones. Let me read the currents here.
Read under the currents.
I'm gonna read under the currents. Well, then it's obvious. Justin, you're first to bone.
First to bone.
What an honor. I never. This is gonna sound hypocritical from a frequent guest on a movie podcast, but I never read film reviews. Occasionally I'll read them after I see the movie because I don't want their bullshit poisoning my experience. But I did read a couple headlines and I got tripped up every time because they all used the word, and I don't think I'm pronouncing this correctly, hagiographic.
Hagiographical?
Hagiographical.
Yeah.
Well, it means that it's a saintly portraill.
Yeah.
Where he has no flaws and he's this vaunted, godlike figure, right? And I think that's 75% true.
Yeah.
I think there's this weird undercurrent of like prophecy from a KGB agent.
Right.
Which is so fucking confusing, but it does show flaws. It shows him losing. It shows him losing his mind later.
Yep.
It shows.
I was surprised.
It's more than I would have given it credit for. If I just read the reviews, I would have been like, "Oh, this is bullshit. They don't show him making any mistakes." There's a whole section about the Iran-Contra affair and how bad that was for him politically.
We didn't think they were even going to touch that.
No,
but this was definitely one of those movies where you're sitting there watching it and you're questioning your own fucking reality.
Yeah.
Because it feels like a fake movie playing in another movie.
Yes, absolutely
so
it does.
There's like, if nothing exciting is happening, your brain starts to drift and it's like, I know we don't really believe in simulation theory, but something is fucking up right now.
Especially since Randy Quaid played Reagan on Saturday Night Live as well. So it's like there's a lot going on.
Oh, I would have loved if Randy Quaid would have been in this
Why
movie.
wasn't he there?
And where the fuck, if we're going to live in this divided Hollywood, do we have to have all the conservative all-stars in this? Where the fuck is James Woods?
Oh, where was Woods? Well,
James Woods is still awesome, even though he's
James
a
Woods
massive
would have
asshole.
made a great Herbert Walker Bush.
Yes, he would have. Why didn't he?
Yeah, playing a fucking dork. That would have been amazing.
We didn't talk about
some of the cameos.
Friend of the podcast, Kevin Sorbo.
Or C. Thomas Howell. Looked like Johnny Knoxville. I was like,
he was looking the oldest of them all.
I thought that was Johnny Knoxville for a second.
C. Thomas Howell. It seemed like they found him like in an Oklahoma alley somewhere, and they're like, "Holy shit, C. Thomas Howell! You want to get on your feet, get in this movie? Like, let's put a suit on you, put you in front of some lights."
Let me tell you, if you're a fan of C. Thomas Howell, there is a douchey action series on Netflix called Obliterated.
Oh shit.
I can't stress this enough. It is incredibly douchey, but it's very fun. And C. Thomas Howell is having more fun than any fucking actor you've ever seen in your life in this show.
Okay.
Nice.
He's going balls out. It's like full frontal. He's doing drugs.
Whoa.
He's having fun.
Nice.
His balls were firmly in.
Anyway,
in
what the fuck are we talking about?
Soul
Reagan?
Man.
So, okay. There was some critique there. I was expecting fucking zero, and it did give me a little.
Yeah.
And man, every time they cut to young Jon Voight, it was so fucking funny. Like,
I want a poster of him.
Just thinking of how much joy that gave me almost makes me want to give this 2 bones.
I know.
Because it was so fucking funny. But this is a one bone movie.
One bone. Only we understand that could almost push it to 2. Like it could, because it almost could.
And he's just like, so you can't be moving a lot when your face is being manipulated digitally, unless you have like ILM or Weta Digital on your side. So like he's just kind of smirking.
Yeah.
And then there are other times where he's watching the TV and he's in awe of Ronald Reagan, the Crusader.
He fucking loves him, the intruder.
And it is just like the framing is so fucking weird. I can't fathom how somebody committed to that and filmed it.
If you tune into this film for some godless reason, make it be for that. That's what you're there for. Young Voight. All right. Well, we'll give Bishke the respect of following the hothead. So hothead, you are up.
Yeah, I'm gonna cast my vote with Brother Justin and give this one Reagan bone for Quaid's performance.
I'm surprised you went a full bone, dude.
Yeah, well, it's crazy. As much as I dislike Reagan, I can't help but be fascinated by his life because it is this charmed white privilege rise to power, where everything he did was just all like an ascension, from the ground up. And yeah, he comes off as like your avuncular, genial grandfather, and he definitely knew how to, play to the camera, and he was really good at memorizing scripts and lines or digesting a bunch of policy really fast as he was walking from the plane into the room or whatever. I just wish we had the Oliver Stone treatment,
God.
I love JFK. I'm not a huge fan of Nixon.
Although 80s Oliver Stone, not Oliver Stone now.
No.
Not Putin worshipping Stone.
But even Stone made George W. Bush movie with Josh Brolin, I want to say, in 2010, which I don't think was good. I don't.
We
remember.
need 80s Stone. You're right, Justin.
I kind of like that movie.
Yeah, but we needed like
I like Brolin.
We needed a strong, cinematic.
You couldn't even say
filmmaker. Yeah, and we needed like a better framing device because I think as much as
how dare you, Lucas?
I think as much as I like Jon Voight's committing to the bit as this Russian Peter Falk in fucking KGB bride. It just was distracting, like Brother Justin said. Like every time you see him and he's talking, it's like, oh my God, what planet am I on? But then when you're with Quaid, it's like, damn, he's making me feel things. And if you spent
making
more,
you feel some kind of way.
yeah, and if you spent more time with him and Nancy, or like him with Xander Berkeley as his like chief of staff or whatever, you know, you could get a lot more meaty audition scenes and get a lot more, you know, in the bedroom type shit. But there's just really not much there like to keep you interested for 220 or whatever. It's really a tough marathon. But yeah, gosh, if we just got that Adam McKay, Will Ferrell version that they canceled because of pressure from the Reagan family.
Right.
And that was supposedly, I never read the script, but it was going to be just about his Alzheimer's, with him being in office and people saying that he'd already lost his mind in his second term, and that everyone, including Nancy, just protected him, you know, and shielded him.
I mean, that also sounds awful, but yeah, they should have made it, I guess.
They will probably, like, you know, someday.
They'll make an Avengers version of all the presidents, like, teaming up.
Oh, man.
One bone, Tabishki.
Yeah, this is the Reagan Library, the movie.
You got a lot riding on this.
We got this movie. I mean, the Reagan Library is huge, and Reagan's life is huge. And I think this movie, despite the fact that he does get boring, it moves for me. It moves. It moves
sideways.
It moves from the hits
like a crab.
And you know, Reagan, you know, he's not well loved in Democratic circles, but I'll take him any day over the Donald. And you know, I get, you know, you want to hear him say it.
Yeah, you
and
do.
you get the build up, and everyone's like, is he gonna say it? Is he gonna say it? And he says it. Mr. Gorbachev. That's not how it sounds.
Yeah, it was.
Well,
tear down this wall.
Nice.
He said it. And then it's like,
it's like you just made the winning shot at the last second.
Say
of
the
like,
line, Bart.
Of like the, you know, Chicago Bulls NBA Finals. It's just everyone's cheering.
Is he gonna say it? It's his only chance to say it. He's got one chance to say it.
And you know, I think his efforts at working with Gorbachev and the diplomatic end of the Cold War, which is back on again, were admirable. And
but the movie.
And so
we saw a film.
I give Ronald Reagan
a person.
The man.
Okay.
No, I'm not going to give any bones to the man. But I will give Reagan, because I masterminded it, and I got us to the library.
You did.
Against all odds.
What a coup.
I feel like those writers, like, is he going to say it?
Is he going to say it? What's he going to say?
I'm going to say 2 bones.
2 bones. The Ronald Reagan Amort line.
Utah, give me 2.
Yeah, no, I had a lot of laughs. I mean, Jon Voight's going to live in my memory forever in this movie, and Scott Stapp, rest in
life.
Rest in peace.
That was also one hell of a freeze frame the movie ended on.
Yeah.
That was the most unflattering freeze frame I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was like the Grim Reaper saying, I'll see you real soon, audience.
Ronnie, give him 2. I mean, for the first half, when I was being a lot more generous with this film, the thought of it being some sort of a really weird, like, smoke pot hangout movie, like at a party, was in my mind. Like, you just kind of chill and just kind of like tune in and out of it. And, you know, you smoke it a little bit, you look back at the TV and you're like, oh, that is fucking funny, man. Oh my God, Dennis Quaid is going for it. Like, what the fuck, man? Then, like, you hang out a little bit, maybe you make out a little bit. And then you're like, whoa, Scott Stapp, what? What is going on here? You know, it had kind of a freak show quality. But then it gets so fucking boring, man. My bone wall was getting chipped away and then torn down little by little. There were those spikes, though. There was the comedy that worked. There was the fact that the contingent of a more senior element in the crowd would squeal with glee when he said his catchphrases. Mm-hmm. Like, that was fun. You don't get to see that every day.
Yeah,
or hear that.
There was a lot of laughs from the old people.
So, I don't know. The experience was 4 solid fucking bones. But I got to give half a bone for Penelope, half a bone for Quaid,
And
half a bone for motherfucking Jon D-Agent Voight. That's 1.5 bones, y'all, for Reagan.
Nice.
It's not nearly as abysmal as I was fearing it would be. You know, like I wouldn't call it competent per se,
but it's got Dennis Quaid. You know, like Quaid is a profesh.
You got those 3 crown jewel actors that are holding all the bullshit together, and you know, politics aside, you can just coast on that. You can coast on the love story. You know, like because I thought that was well done. You know, like credit where due. But damn, like this didn't need to exist beyond just a special screening at the Reagan Library. That would have been where it should have existed and where it should have stayed.
Yeah. No.
That closes the chapter on our Reagan adventures.
What's going to happen in November?
Oh my God. Who knows? We'll see. And we have that Brother Zach wager, so, you know, no matter who wins, somebody loses.
Cast your vote for Dinesh.
Yeah. Brother Justin, thank you so much for joining us on all of this.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you, Brother Patrick.
Thank you, Brother Patrick. Oh, my God.
Thank you, Brother Patrick.
You had no idea what you had done, but you helped us out big time.
Getting us to that Reagan
financed our
Library.
destiny. We have a rendezvous with fate.
I hope you're proud of us, Brother Patrick. We love you. Oh, and God bless us all. Love and light. Well.